Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Fulton County Continuum of Care's 2026 Point in Time Count Volunteer Training. First off, thank you for your participation. Every January, communities all across the country pause for one night to take a snapshot of homelessness in their area, and your participation makes that possible. This training is self-paced, so you can go through it whenever it's convenient for you. It's broken down into short modules, each about 5 to 10 minutes. Throughout the training curriculum, there will be short quizzes just to check your understanding along the way. Our goal is that by the time the count night arrives, you'll feel confident, prepared, and excited to be part of this important effort. In this first module, we're going to cover the basics of what the point-in-time count actually is, who we include in the count, and how it's carried out in Fulton County. Think of this as your big picture orientation before we dive into safety, confidentiality, survey procedures, and interview techniques in later modules. The point-in-time, or PIT count, is a nationwide event conducted each January to measure homelessness in communities across the United States. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, requires continuums of care to carry out a PIT count of unsheltered individuals and families at least once every 2 years, and many communities, including Fulton County, conduct it annually. On one specific night in January, we count and survey both sheltered and unsheltered people experiencing homelessness in North and South Fulton. The information collected helps us in several ways. It informs how federal funding is distributed, shapes local policy, and tells us whether the strategies we're using to reduce homelessness are actually working. It's important to remember that this is a snapshot in time. It doesn't represent the total number of people who experience homelessness in a year, but it gives us a critical baseline for understanding trends and how to best direct resources to help. HUD defines homelessness specifically for the purpose of the PIT count, and there are two main groups we focus on. First, unsheltered homelessness. These are people whose primary nighttime residence is a place not meant for human habitation. This includes people sleeping on the streets, in a car, in a tent or an encampment, on a park bench, in a parking garage, or in an abandoned building. Second, sheltered homelessness are individuals or families that are staying in temporary lodging programs like emergency shelters, transitional housing programs, or safe havens. Both groups are counted, but we use slightly different methods to reach each population. To make that a little more concrete, sheltered examples include emergency shelters, including programs that provide hotel or motel vouchers, transitional housing programs, and safe havens. Unsheltered examples include people sleeping in cars, parks, bus or train stations, under bridges, or in tent encampments. If you've ever seen an outreach team talking with someone living in a tent or vehicle, this is exactly the kind of engagement that happens during the PIT count. Now, this is where people often have questions. The PIT count does not include everyone we as a community might generally think of as homeless. For instance, someone staying on a friend's couch or a family doubled up with relatives isn't counted in HUD's PIT definition. Likewise, if a person is staying in a hotel or motel but paying out of pocket, or a friend is covering their stay, that household isn't counted. The only hotel or motel stays we include are those paid for by a charitable organization or publicly funded program. This distinction helps keep the data consistent nationwide, even if it feels a little counterintuitive locally. So how do we actually make this happen? Here in Fulton County, the PIT Count Committee leads the effort. They coordinate all the planning, volunteer recruitment, training, and data collection protocols. The county is divided into North and South regions so that every known area where unsheltered people might be staying is covered. The Fulton County region covers all of Fulton County except for the City of Atlanta. The COC that covers the City of Atlanta conduct their own PIT count separate from the county. On the pit count nights, teams of volunteers and outreach workers go out together to canvass unsheltered locations like streets, wooded areas, parks, encampments, and conduct surveys with individuals and families that are experiencing homelessness. Throughout the week following the main pit count nights, we also conduct what's called a service-based count. This portion of the county takes place at community locations such as soup kitchens, food banks, libraries, day centers, and community centers. The service-based count supplements the canvassing nights by helping us reach individuals who may not have been visible outdoors or were missed during the initial count. By engaging people where they access services, we ensure the count is as complete and accurate as possible, helping us better understand the full scope of homelessness in our region. All of the surveys are completed using the Counting Us mobile app, which keeps data secure and helps prevent duplicates. Afterward, the county compiles and submits the data to HUD. This year's unsheltered count will take place January 22nd through January 29th, 2026. On Thursday, January 22nd, volunteers will canvass South Fulton, and on Friday, January 23rd, will canvass North Fulton. From January 23rd through the 29th, we'll continue the service-based counts at community sites. For the canvassing nights, volunteers will be notified in advance of their assigned shift times and counting locations. Once you receive these details, please review them carefully. The sheltered count also happens on the night of January 22nd. For agencies that use the Homeless Management Information System, HMIS, the data is pulled automatically. For non-HMIS projects, staff and volunteers will complete surveys using the Counting Us app. This includes any hotel or motel rooms that were paid for by a charitable organization or publicly funded program on that night. It's a great example of how local coordination ensures everyone is counted accurately, no matter where they stayed. None of this work happens in isolation. The Fulton County COC partners closely with the Fulton County Department of Community Development, local homeless service providers, churches, the school system, the library system, and the Veterans Administration, among others. These partnerships make the pit count more inclusive, helping us reach youth, families, veterans, and people in rural or hard-to-reach areas. If your organization is one of the many partners that participate in the pit count, thank you. Your coordination makes all the difference. Over the last few years, we've seen valuable insights come from the pit data. For instance, Fulton County has tracked shifts in the unsheltered population, changes in family homelessness, and trends among veterans and youth. While one year's number can fluctuate due to weather, volunteer turnout, or other factors, looking at the trends helps us identify data patterns that allow us to make adjustments to homeless policies, procedures, and funding priorities accordingly. Every accurate survey you collect contributes to that bigger picture. The 2026 count will include all of Fulton County except for the city of Atlanta, which conducts its own pit count. A few days before count night, you'll receive communication confirming your assigned location, the command center you'll report to, and what time to meet your team. Assigned locations may include bus stations, parks, libraries, or areas known for encampments. Your team lead will have a map, supplies, and safety instructions. Your main responsibility is to follow their direction and work together. If you find that you are unavailable for your scheduled shift, contact your local planning lead as soon as possible so adjustments can be made. The contact information for the North and South Fulton planning leads can be found in the resources module at the end of this training course. And don't worry if your schedule is limited on the canvassing nights. There are still plenty of ways to support the pit count, including helping with service-based counts during the week of the count. And that wraps up Training Module 1. You've learned what the pit count is, who we count, and how Fulton County organizes the effort. The most important takeaway is that this isn't just a data collection exercise. It's about seeing our neighbors with dignity and respect and helping ensure our community has the information it needs to end homelessness. When you're ready, move on to Training Module 2, where we'll discuss volunteer roles and expectations and explain how you can contact the North and South Fulton planning leads before and during the count. Thank you again for your time, your compassion, and your commitment to making the 2026 point in time count a success.